Welcome to Inside the Realtors Studio, interviews with industry leaders and professionals in real estate. This year, the Tucson Association of Realtors is turning 100, 1921 to 2021. We honor our history by conducting interviews of the past presidents of the Tucson Association of Realtors. We'll learn a bit of history by talking to the experts themselves. Today's past president is Sue Cartun, who served us in 2001. A past owner partner of Keller Williams Southern Arizona, a brokerage company with 6 offices throughout Southern Arizona, Sue Cartun continues to hold her real estate license with the company, having served as the company's designated broker. Prior to her management career in real estate, Sue had a highly successful sales career, achieving top awards, consistently including receiving recognition for being in the top 10% of sales nationally. Additionally, Sue has been named as one of the 500 most powerful women in real estate by Riz Media. As an active member of the Women's Council of Realtors, Sue has served in many leadership roles locally, statewide, and nationally in the organization, including Regional Vice President, Arizona State Governor, Arizona State President, Arizona State Woman of the Year, Tucson President, and Tucson Woman of the Year. Some of Sue's many real estate accolades include, she's been practicing real estate and been a practicing real estate licensee and realtor member since 1979. In 1999, was awarded an Outstanding Service Award from the Tucson Association. In 2001, was elected president of the Tucson Association of Realtors. From 2004 through 2010, served as designated broker at Realty Executives of Tucson. From 2010 through 2016, served as designated broker owner partner of Keller Williams Southern Arizona. 2012 to 2013 and 2020, elected and served as TAR MLS president. In 2015, was awarded an Outstanding Service Award from the Tucson Association. In 2016, was named Tucson Realtor of the Year. In 2016, she was named a member of the RPAC Hall of Fame, representing a minimum $25,000 investment in the Realtor Political Action Committee. From 2017 through 2020, elected and served as NAR Director for Tucson. Sue has been a featured speaker at NAR, National WCR, and AAR conventions. She has written and been featured and quoted in real estate articles in local, state, and national publications. And we hope for a few quotes today on Inside the Realtors Studio. Welcome, Sue Cartun.
Well, thank you very much for that, Steve. So I'm your vintage president.
Oh,
from the
no.
70s.
We go way back. You're just a kid in comparison. So let's begin our voyage with a bit about real estate before you were president. So where did you first hang your license?
I first hung my license at Strunk Realty, defunct for many years now. I was only there for a very short period of time before I went to visit with my mentor, Betty Saunders, over at Realty Executives, and ended up at Realty Executives for quite a few years.
And what drew you to real estate?
Ooh, what is not to like about real estate, right? You're your own boss. You have your time is your own. You don't have anybody to worry about. All of those things that we think we're going to get, which are absolutely not true. Everyone ends up being our boss. Our time is not our own until we learn to take it back. And that's a real good lesson for realtors to learn, is to remember that their time is their most important commodity and they need to protect it as much as they can.
And during your real estate career, when you were working as an agent in that, did you tend to work alone, or did you have a partner, or did you work as part of a team?
All of the above.
Really?
You know, we get to reinvent ourselves several different times and ways. And so it was a fun thing to do, to be solo to
Uh-huh.
really learn the ropes, and then to have a partner and eventually run a team. So all of that, and ended up back as solo before I went to the dark side. I blame a lot of leaders for going to the dark side and becoming designated broker. Woo, that's a choice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah, especially when they came to me and said, who do you know that you'd like to suggest for designated broker? And I said, you mean who don't I like that much? It's like,
that's about it.
yeah. So now this was 1979 when you started. Do you want to describe the technology of the day?
Oh my heavens. Technology, that wasn't even a word then, I don't believe, in the realm of real estate, at least. Because
No,
as you well know, and you're going to hear this from many others, we were working with the book. So, technology, I can remember how we used to file each of the listings that would come to us by messenger every day. And I don't mean today's messenger, I mean somebody in a car
yeah.
who'd pull up to the office, deliver all those little planos, and then we would file them into subdivisions so that we then would have them at the office. Oh my goodness, that was fun.
The
But you sure learned
logistics,
subdivisions.
the logistics of that. I just sit there and think of them delivering to all the brokerages in town. It's
Right.
just, oh, we've got it so much easier now. So let's shift over to your presidency. You were in office in 2001, we'll say the first time. What building were we operating out of at that time?
We were in the Swan Road office at that time. It was very small building, actually cold in the winter. I remember that. But the fondest thing that I remember about that office was that when we actually left that office, they were dismantling parts of it. And part of that were two marvelous, huge wooden doors that we had to enter to go into the office. And since they were dismantled and they were just laying there, I said, anybody have a pickup? And so I took those doors.
Oh, neat.
And of course, now my CEO knew I was taking them. So I took those doors and I've had them at home and used them in many different ways for a long time. And I just gave them away this last December.
Oh, wow.
So I
And,
had a piece of that office with me for a couple of decades.
well, that's something. So you brought up your CEO. Who was your CEO at the time?
At the time that I was president, I believe that it was, and I don't even remember his name, Steve, but it was Rick.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember his last name.
We don't mean Hodges, do we?
Oh
Was
yeah,
he?
there we go.
Oh, how about
That's
that?
it. How about
Lucky
that?
guess.
Thank
Lucky guess.
you.
You betcha.
Yes.
Yeah. And what was the staff like at that point in time? Did you have, I mean, I assume Sherry Meadows was there probably in some form or another, but who else would have been
She
there?
was. She was.
Yeah.
Well, our go-to person was Patty Richardson.
Oh, okay.
And Patty was a lover of life, always laughing, always having a great time. And she made it look easy, which I greatly appreciated at that time because I
Yeah.
needed somebody who was going to make it look easy. And she did.
Yeah. And so how did you get involved in association leadership?
How did I actually get involved? I could probably blame that on quite a few people.
Did somebody do an
But I
ask?
don't remember. I'm sure somebody did an ask because that's the
Okay.
way that most of us do get involved. But
Mhm.
again, that's going back to really early 80s. And probably more than one said, hey, come on over and join us at the association. But I don't remember who was the one who actually took me by the arm and drug me in there. But
So
I
did
sure
you,
thank them for it.
yeah. So did you have anybody that you looked up to, like either in a mentor situation or that you just admired who was in association leadership?
Well, I think the reason that I actually did get involved and run for the presidency, I can attribute that to Ms. Judy Lowe, our current commissioner. I'm sure you're going to hear her name come up more than once as a very good mentor. And I did have a great mentor as far as designated broker role and association business in James J. Tegas, JT. Just terrific, Tegas.
Right. JT, who's been my longest interview so far.
Oh, yes. I cannot even imagine that would
Because
happen.
he came prepared with props. So
Good for him.
yeah, indeed, yeah. So what would you say if you can remember back to 2001? What do you think your biggest accomplishment was during that year?
What was the biggest accomplishment? I think that I'm going to go back, Steve, with your permission. I'm going to go back to actually president-elect
Okay.
because that's kind of set the scene for what was going on in my presidency the following year. And so as president-elect, actually at the association's attorneys discussion with the board, it was decided that we really did need at that time to split the association and the MLS into two different entities. And so this became Sue's project for some reason or another. And therefore, I learned a whole lot about how to accomplish something that is a very huge, huge task. And in the process of doing that, I learned one of the biggest leadership lessons ever. And that is this: when you have a task that you need to have done, and it is controversial, it would be a good idea, rather than to choose a future leader, upcoming, who's going to be relying on their membership for many things and to serve their membership in many ways. Instead, choose a past leader who really doesn't have as much at risk, if you will.
Okay.
Choose somebody who's been there, done that, hey, really doesn't have anything that they are going to be very concerned about in the future. And I say this because during this process of making this happen, an MLS and an association, two different entities, you can well imagine there were some people who were a little upset, to the point of this is really fact. There was actually a petition to have me impeached that was going around.
Ooh.
And I thought to myself, you know what? That's okay with me. Well, no, that's not okay. It's not okay. But it was my lesson. It was such a huge opportunity for me to know that when you have that kind of a project going on, choose someone who isn't the upcoming one, but rather someone who's already past that point. And so I learned that big thing before I became president. Now, you asked me about being president. I think one of the biggest things that, well, I'm sure you all, and especially you, Steve, will remember where you were at 9/11, 2001.
Yeah.
And that was my year as president.
Ah.
So we had.
But we had survived Y2K.
We did that. We survived Y2K, and we're still wanting to have that other shoe hit the ground, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing happened. But
Yeah.
then it did.
Yeah.
And then it did. And so 9/11 was probably the telling point of my presidency, because I think we all knew that we were going to be living in shock for quite a while. and to survive on an emotional level
Mhm.
was very trying for us. And we did, we made it, and it's something that we'll never forget. So that was my year.
That
Did
was
we do a lot before then? Oh yeah, we
sure.
were having a ball.
Yeah.
Everything was hunky-dory fine. But then 9/11 happened and we learned another really big lesson there.
That was the impetus that got me into real estate.
Is that a
Yeah,
fact?
because I had a retail store which
Mhm.
could not survive
Look at Susan.
because no one was traveling, no one was coming
Mhm.
into Tucson, and we couldn't survive it. And so we had to close that. And Charles was already in real estate. So what are you going to do? Well, I guess I'll get into real estate. So there you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
would like to, we went back on the one, I'd like to go back to the, your project that you almost got impeached for. Was the was the thinking at the time that we needed to, the lawyer brought this up, that we needed to do this, was that
Yeah.
because of tax reasons mostly, or was it because of, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there were several different reasons at that time. One of them was tax benefit, as
Yeah.
far as being able to say, all right, we've got a business
Hmm.
and we have an association with membership, and really the two aren't the same. And so, tax wise, as well as liability situations, we may want to go ahead and make sure that we're separating these and create a board that will actually look for and be responsible for the business of MLS. And it's different. The board that serves the association has
Hmm.
a different outlook and different purposes for shepherding the association. And the MLS is absolutely all about the business and making sure that our agents and our consumers are being served as well as possible as any other business wants to do.
So
And as a matter of fact, the president that became the first president of the TAR MLS
mhm.
is different today, as you know, but at that time, that first president was our Mike Whaling, who we just lost this last year. So Mike and I served as president together. He on MLS side, and then I was president on the TAR side.
So in creating the two entities, you immediately had two separate boards then?
We did.
Okay.
That was at recommendation again by our attorney at that time. Yeah.
Because in my interview with Mr. Sloyan, which just occurred about 1 hour ago, he talked about how it used to be it would be a 5 hour long meeting because it would be both TAR and the MLS, which were all under the one board at that point.
Oh
So
yeah, I remember those too. Whoa.
uh,
Yeah. And it
brutal.
it it does make sense once you get through the process of making it happen. It's been a good move for us for sure.
Now, you have served on three separate occasions for us in the position of president for MLS. One was back to back year, was that 2003 and 4, I think. Um,
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but those years that I served as president of MLS, that was
no,
TAR's
12 and
MLS.
13, 12 and
12 and
13.
13, that makes
Yeah.
sense, yeah.
H-
Um, yeah.
Well, that's unusual that you would wind up being president for 2 years. How did that come about?
I
No
have
idea.
no clue. I do
Okay.
not recall. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And
It
then
happened.
you just served last year because you're the immediate past president at this point for the multiple listing service of Southern Arizona.
Yes.
So having had that experience of both sides, do you have a preference for one over the other?
Um, they're so different. They serve different purposes entirely. I
Yeah.
think I'm drawn to the business side, Steve,
Okay.
more so. Uh, and I guess it's kind of obvious that since I've served in that position 3 times
Yeah.
virtually on the business side, it kind of is self-telling. But yeah, I'm a business person at heart.
You felt at home in that position, obviously, you know.
Yeah, I think it's crucially important for the business of our agents. It's a very important role and
And
needs to be handled properly.
and in terms of our business, quite frankly, it has the faster moving pieces that can bring change to our business, because
Yes.
most of them are going to be dealt with that way. So um, let me ask you then, because you had quite a lot of involvement in WCR, but how about at AAR and NAR as well?
Yeah. AAR, I've served on several of the committees at the AAR level, including, oh boy, yeah, education and all sorts of different little things along the way. And as a director, I've been a director for AAR several different times,
Yeah,
either appointed or elected, one or the
sure.
other.
Yeah. And then how
And then
about it?
NAR as well, director on NAR, and have served on committees as well at NAR. The most recent being, again, back to MLS, the Multiple Listing Issues and Policies Committee, which is a national committee for all of the MLSs that are realtor MLSs to participate in and work through issues and problems. And you're right, things are changing.
Mhm.
They always are, but it's rapid escalation at this point in our business world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of association leadership, um, as a leader who has served on multiple times in that, what do you think is the most important thing to convey to somebody who's going to see this video 10 or 15 years from now, sitting on the TAR thing, and is sitting there going, well, I don't know if I want to get involved in committee work or leadership or whatever. What would you tell them that they need to know to make them feel that it's worthwhile and a benefit to them?
Well, I think that it's really not only beneficial to the person that is serving, but it's also a giving back to where they're actually coming from and making their business work. And if you have anything that you need to make sure happens in your business, you need to be paying attention to the association and to the MLS and get involved. And the only way you're going to have a voice is to speak up. And when you start to speak up, you realize that others around you are thinking the same thing. They're just not saying it yet. And so you can help them along the way to also speak up so that you're serving your community really well and you're serving yourself at the same time. One doesn't preclude the other. It really doesn't. So as much as you give is what you get.
Are there any other thoughts about your term in office or your terms in office?
Any other thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm not going to be JT's interview.
Oh, no. We're not,
No.
we're not close. You're fine.
Well, here's one of the things that I found as a leader, whether it was in the role of president or not, but as a leader in reaching out to others nationally was a great experience for me because I learned that we in Southern Arizona have a different way of looking at things than someone may have in, say, New York, or especially New York City. And I learned that because I taught nationally. So I taught in many different locations with realtors. And we're very fortunate because we truly believe in cooperation and compensation with our competitors. We are true collaborative competitors. And that makes a lot of sense in our business world, to be able to, across lines of companies, to actually cooperate and compensate others. So we're serving our clients the best possible way we can when we have that kind of collaboration. That I learned from teaching nationally and going to NAR conventions, Arizona Association meetings, and talking with people in many, many different companies. We're
And
collaborative.
I think one other thing people might not realize, but a president-elect back in 2000 had the forward thought to take on a project that she bore the fruit of. But what it also did in creating these separate entities of the MLS and the association way back when, is that Tucson in particular, is a very well insulated community. And we don't have what people in New York and some other places have, where there are multiple MLSs competing for the same dollar from our folks. And boy, are we ahead of the game because of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's really interesting. And I know you know this, Steve, when you go to the association, the Arizona Association, or even NAR, and you realize how much influence Tucson has had over the years and will continue to have. We're looked to for being innovative, maybe a little out of the box every once in a while, and that's a good thing. That's good. You know, always looking to how can we be better? What else can we do? Because we don't want to just settle. We're just not settlers.
Yeah, just one small example of that is Tucson. When RPR was rolled out, we weren't a beta tester, we were an alpha tester. So that's how far ahead we were with the curve on that. So believe it or not, Sue, we are just about at the end of our interview. And I like to end the interview with 7 quick questions, and I'm looking for 7 quick answers. So what's your favorite word?
Well, I pick a word every year, and I know you just want a quick answer, but
okay.
It's important. And one of my favorite words is now.
Okay.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's focused.
But now,
it's focused. Yeah.
When now can we get this done?
Yeah. And what's your least favorite word?
Ooh. Expialidocious.
And what turns you on?
Being active, being involved, great conversations with fabulous people like Steve Redmond.
And what turns you off?
What turns me off? People who think they know what you meant before you even say it.
Yeah. And what profession other than real estate would you have liked to have attempted?
Well, I attempted. I was in retail just as you, and loved it. And even now during the holiday season, oh man, I just want to run that cash register. It's so much fun during the holidays. So if I were to say what else, I'd say maybe back to retail just during the holidays though.
Well, that you could probably get. That's pretty always in demand. And is there a profession that you're super glad you didn't attempt?
No.
No.
Everything brings lessons and opportunities. No.
And retail, what kind of retail did you do? Were you doing clothing or soft goods or?
No, pharmacies. pharmacies.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
actually, that was the, yeah, I was going to school to become a pharmacist and
Oh,
decided that was not what I wanted to do after I realized all they did was count pills all day. Yeah, that did
yeah,
it.
that would do
That
it.
and quantitative analysis, that one did it too.
Oh. So, in closing, if you could do a shout out to anyone living or not in the real estate community, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Well, I will say, can I use two? Can I go with two?
Sure, you bet.
Uh, maybe three?
Go
No,
ahead.
I'll just do two. All right, the first one is to Anthony Azar, who is actually one of the owners of Keller Williams, Southern Arizona.
Mhm.
He was also an owner with Realty Executives of Southern Arizona. And he is the one that actually, I said, yeah, okay, I'll be DB for until we can find somebody else.
Mhm.
So, but he actually opened doors of opportunities for me that I didn't know existed. So that was one. So that's a shout out to Mr. Anthony Azar. The other one would be Mr. James J. Tegas, because he has mentored many, many of our local and state and national realtor members to become the better them, to take the next step. He's an encourager and a strong mentor, and he knows when to let them go.
Yeah.
And that's a trick not all mentors know.
Now, you did mention a third.
Well, yes, I did. And that's Judy Lowe.
Okay.
Yeah, because she taught me many, many lessons that were invaluable. I will remember them always. And I thank her for that.
Well, Sue, we're at the end. I want to thank you so much for participating in our interview.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, Steve. And I
Yeah.
think you do a good job. And I'm looking forward to some real estate podcasts from you. I think you've got a new thing going here.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
Thanks.
talking over with Charles, and
All
please
right.
give him my best, will you?
I will. Thanks again.